Hi, I'm Ashley, and today I'm using some inspiration that I saw on Anthropologie's website to make my own version of the stuffed animal holding a little baby blanket. So what I'm going to be doing is actually taking a stuffed animal that I already had from one of my daughters and adding Velcro and then using very bulky yarn and actually finger crocheting a big fuzzy blanket for my kids. So let's get started with how to actually make it. The materials that you'll need to make the Anthropologie dupe baby blanket with the stuffed animal are, you're gonna need to get like a floppy stuffed animal. Get these at Walmart or wherever, just a floppy one though, so that you can maneuver the legs, and long limbed is going to be best. And then some jumbo yarn. So this is the Bernat blanket big yarn, and this is a jumbo size 7. There's a lot of variety in what jumbo 7 means. This is recommending to use a size U or 25mm crochet hook. So this is a very, very thick yarn, and we're actually not going to use a crochet hook for this. We're going to do finger crocheting. And then you'll need some scissors and some Velcro. So I'm going to start by adding the Velcro to my animal's hands and feet so that he can hold the blanket after we're done making it. So this Velcro does have the sticky stuff on the back, but that's not very secure. So I'm going to go ahead and just sew it on as well. And we're going to put it on the bottom, where I guess his palms would be, and then the bottom of his feet. All right, so now our Velcro is on and our bear is ready to hold the blanket. So now we just have to make the blanket. We're gonna take our big blanket yarn and we're gonna do double crochet, but we're doing finger crocheting, not with a hook. So let me just kind of get a bunch out here. I want this blanket to be, it's gonna be pretty small so that our bear can hold it. It's more, it's a little bigger than Lovey, I guess, but it's definitely, you know, baby blanket size. And we're gonna start with 17 chains. So I'm just gonna make my slip knot just like I do when I'm doing regular crocheting with a hook. Okay, there's my slip knot. And then I'm gonna chain 17. So I'm just gonna take my fingers and pull the loose yarn through. And I've got to try to keep this chain pretty loose. That's the hardest part here, is just making sure that it stays loose enough. So that's 1. $16, 17. Okay, so there is my chain. And then we're gonna do double crochets. So I'm going to turn my chain and I'm gonna work in the back ridge of my chains here. That's how I do most of my crocheting. I work in the back ridge. And then I'm gonna do a double crochet in the 3rd chain from my hook. So 1, 2, 3, and I'm gonna do a double crochet there. So I'm gonna yarn over, so yarn over my hand, put my fingers through and pull up a loop of yarn, and then pull another loop through 2, and then pull that loop through the last 2. And that will get me my chains, which is my first double crochet, and then my first actual double crochet here. And I'm just gonna do that down the whole row of chains. So here's my second one. Yarn over, put my fingers through, pull up a loop, pull up a new loop, and pull up a loop. I'm going through 2 on my fingers each time. Pull up, out the loop, and then pull out the loop. Okay, and I'm just going to do that down the whole row, the whole foundation chain row. And that leaves me with 15 double crochets. Now I'm going to turn my work just like I would if I was crocheting with a hook, and I'm going to chain 2, and that counts as my first double crochet. So I'm going to skip this stitch and go into my next double crochet, and I'm just going to keep repeating double crochets the whole time. Okay. After the chain row, it gets a lot easier. It's just easier to see where to stick your fingers through once you have some double crochets done and you're working into double crochets instead of into chains. Okay, and then when you get to the end of this row, you just want to make sure to do your double crochet into the turning chain, because that did count as a stitch. So just make sure you have 15 double crochets, counting the turning chain as a stitch. Okay, now I'm just going to turn and do the same thing. So again, chain 2, just yarn over my hand and pull up the loop. Skip the first double crochet and do a double crochet into the next stitch. Okay, now I need to connect my next ball. I'm going to do that by backing out this last part and pulling up a loop, and then I'm going to try to crochet over my ends here like I would if I was using a hook. Let's see how it works. Okay, so there's my next row. Turn, chain 2. To finish this off, I'm going to do a row of slip stitches on the end, mostly just to add that little bit of extra size. It's not much, but I have the extra yarn, so I might as well use it. And then it'll make it kind of match the beginning with the chain row, so make it look a little bit more finished. So for a slip stitch, I'm just going through my stitch and just pulling a loop straight through the loop on my hand, and again trying to make sure I don't make it too tight. Okay, and then I'm going to tie off my yarn here, so just pull it all the way through and pull it tight, and then I'm going to cut my yarn and weave in my ends. I'm not super worried about this coming out. It's pretty secure. This thick yarn doesn't really want to go anywhere. It's puffy and it kind of gets all stuck and tied together anyway. So I'm just kind of weaving in this tail however, and it will hide it. And then I have to come back to my starting and weave in this tail. So there is our little blanket. Now I can roll it up and hopefully my bear can hold it. This is my version of the Anthropologie stuffed animal baby blanket. So I went with this variegated colorful yarn. It's very thick and fuzzy and just nice to squish and play with. And then I had this animal on hand, so I just added the Velcro. So I couldn't find anywhere on Anthropologie's website what size the blanket was that they had. Mine turned out to be about 2.5 feet by 3.5 feet, and that was about the maximum size that would work with the animal that I had. Any bigger and my animal would not have been able to reach around it. Also, I just got 2 skeins of the yarn and just basically used it all up. Doing that made it kind of like a play blanket size. It's not as small as a lovey, but it's definitely not a full size like crib blanket. I guess it'd be considered maybe stroller size, but regardless, I think my kids are gonna love it. They can kind of wrap up in it or throw it on the floor and sit on it, and it's super cushy and fuzzy and just soft and cuddly. So I really do think they're gonna love it, and I do like how the colors turned out with the variegated yarn. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please give the video a like, it'd mean a lot, and check out some of the other videos on my channel. Thank you so much for watching.